Está ya... Vale.
¿Sí? ¿No está conectado? Sí.
¿Quieres
¿Hola?
el mando?
Sí.
Vale, perfecto. Bueno, Alfonso...
Alfonso is a good friend of mine. I do admire Alfonso due to his specialty on oceanography. All those who are listed on British.com to hide information on the subliminal channels is my best choice. Alfonso was a panelist with his weapon and tool as Sterling. You can choose a chosen paragraph where you can hide some bits of information. He will deal with very interesting application topics. You send me your bio, your biography. Alfonso is a security senior researcher on 11 paths. He is a real doctor. He is a doctor in telecommunications, in oceanography and spectrography. He has published over 40 articles and in other many important events. He is a main collaborator with Jorge Ramiro, presents here in put forward the initiative Create for You, DC, and many other initiatives. For me, Alfonso and Jorge are the two most admirable people in the community of security. These guys have done so much for you to get together in this auditorium. Alfonso and Jorge are one of the biggest first persons I joined and met in order to create this project. So thank you, Alfonso, for your kind support. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Oh, Romance, he is such a good guy, nice guy. My name is Alfonso Muñoz, and I'm doing so many things. This is my talk. I prepare very kindly to all of you. It's part of my research. It's an open research. I won't report to you and tell you about the current problems you may be familiar with. What is the current moment, the state of the art of this situation from an initial stage and how we can move forward to the next step. It's a fair thing to mention that I have used so many algorithms and technologies. Many people from my working place have asked me, how are you doing with this? And I want to underline their support. My talk is as follows. Is the stegomalware a real problem in the mobile world? Is it possible to detect it, and how difficult is to do it with the current technology? Let's see if we can really detect stegomalware with the current technology. Available weapons and tools. Can we do so? That's the main point. Let's make it easy going for all of you. Can we use steganography in Google Play? Oh my goodness. If not, we won't be here. Does stegomalware exist in Google Play? That's a difficult one. Otherwise, this wouldn't appear in this talk. There's no reason for it. Let's move on to the first subject. Basically, there is not a formal definition of stegomalware. This definition is of mine. Is hiding malicious code by using steganography. I guess you have learned about this research. Is the Black Hat Europe Amsterdam, October 2014, is the polyglots, the capacity of converting from one format into another format. We can change formats in between. I show some examples on screen, Trojans, malicious software and code, which hid their code in a PNG. They name it .png, and they inserted malicious code. They changed the extension from zip to other one, and period. You can check on screen the idea of this researcher. You can see how they make the most of certain formats to trick them into a different one. They add information to files, extra information added. In such a way, they conceal information through traditional mechanisms in order for them to avoid classical mechanisms of detection. When I mean classical mechanisms of detection, I mean the current ones, closing of them. I want to talk to you about stegomalware. There are different legs. We put the malware in between and then the stenography. It would be a long explanation to talk about the current techniques to detect malware on the mobile world, which is very flexible and dynamic. But we over the past month, have been realized that we want to confront the malware detection in the mobile world, in the real world, beside the current antivirus solutions. It's important to tackle other lateral thinking, as we commented yesterday on the roundtable. For example, let's imagine that if I'm conducting a survey here, does malware usually have more permits and permission than goodware? Raise your hands. As many of you here think this way, many other scientific publications think this way. They lie. This is a fucking lie. Because if you take a sufficient volume of samples, I mean the market of wordplay, for instance, you can do as many things as these ones on the screen. It's more likely for a malware to have between 4 and 7 permissions than having 16 permits or permissions. So we have estimators, which allows an intelligence based upon indicia. So you can scratch on the other side and you can find another kind of examples. I will talk about estimators later on. More permissions, more categories. It's more interesting what you can see now on screen. It's about the developed estimators to detect malware. This has to do with something of our fellow members yesterday commented on the roundtable. To be a good defender, you have to be a good attacker. I think that it's not like this, it's not necessarily like this. This is a very significant case. Let's imagine somebody developing malware on the mobile world will be worried about many things, to create super obfuscated code not being detected, but this person may forget about that in the field of description of the application. This person needs to be very, very discreet and create a good description. Malware field with a shorter size than the average messages on wordplay. Always the richness of language is poorer, fewer activities, something that has anything to do with the security world, which is making the most of the natural world, can reveal you are there. So through indicia and estimators, you can detect malware. Stenography. We don't have enough time to date it back to the former times of stenography, but there are many techniques to concealment, and the press shows these headlines on screen. It's very significant, the case you see on the screen, the stenography on networks. Sorry for my coughing voice. Were you familiar with these cases on screen? I guess so. The more significant one, regardless of the FBI or CIA and terrorists, is the one I'm pointing on screen regarding the industries. How can we use stenography to steal information on networks? One of the problems you have to bear in mind, can you hear me properly? Regarding stenography is the double use we made of it, as the same is applied to cryptography. Cryptography tools belonging to a parallel world, or things like this on screen. Are you familiar with this table on screen? These are typical tools used by terrorist groups, supposedly ISIS and all this one. If you check this one on internet, you can download it and do reversing, and you can see if they are implementing cryptography correctly. Be careful, because sometimes it's illegal and somebody is going to track down on you, and they are going to get the IP from you. And sometimes many agencies spend their time to put bugs and viruses, fake viruses inside to infect you. It's funny. It's a fun thing for you to do. If you don't know nothing, if you don't know anything about ethnography, there are many other tools you can apply, as you can see on screen. Later on, I will talk about digital images. A short reminder. I'm sorry for my coughing voice. I will talk about the more widespread techniques, the more significant bits. Let's focus on the techniques which are currently used in the most common tools. It's difficult for us to detect stenography. Roman is always right as usual. Stenography, if it's well done, is very difficult to be detected. Very firstly, talking about how can we detect stenography, let's move on to the initial steps you need to follow where we can hide the stenography. The most traditional mechanisms is concealment through protocol, video, images, text, and then to modify. When you modify, you perturb this, you alter this. This slide, for me, in my understanding, is a real one. Interesting. Sorry. One colleague of my company told me that if I was not able to detect anything, this research was unuseful because I was not able to recover a hidden message. At this very moment, I realized I didn't know how detection of the steganography works. If steganography is well done, we'll be on this point. If we're lucky, we will be able to detect something. Depending on the image and some conditions, we will be able to estimate the size of how much is hidden. In no case, if the tool is well done, we won't be able to see the key and the password of this steganography thing. Very likely this one, and very likely the second one. In fact, if you can see these graphs on screen, you will see that from 2001, after the World Trade Center's terrorist attacks, the publication grew exponentially. Do you think the steganography analysis is useful for the industry? Until some years ago, these were only done by some 2 or 4 crazy people. It was not applied to espionage or something like this. Nowadays, big international organizations have noticed that steganography is a big problem for the industry, especially for creating channels trying to controlling remote equipment and to steal information. There's so much money publicly and privately to investigate on this issue. We cannot go into detail about how detection works, but I want to give you some comments on it. How can we detect steganography? There are 2 main legs. The first one would be statistics and statistical algorithms with certain characteristics, and the other one, automatic learning algorithms. The first one is, okay, it's a very simple idea. Let's imagine shops, and there is a vase. How can we tell a vase from a book? We do know what a book is, and we compare it with what a vase is. A vase is not a book, so we can detect something is wrong in between. Algorithms work in the same way. I will see if my neighbors are very strange. Oh, this neighbor is red and the other one is blue. They don't match each other, so we can calculate how many strange neighbors there are in between to detect how much hidden information is. We can estimate that how much information is hidden. If we have the capacity of knowing the areas where information resides, we will be able to, in a very idealistic case, to recover the information or to attack it in a different way. The attacks I like the most are those based upon automatic learning attacks where you don't need to know the technique used by the attacker. For example, you take a PNG, a typical one, you model it, a typical PNG with these values. You model it and you consider it strange. So this seems ideal, but in practice it's a chaos. There are so many limitations, fake positives, and so much trouble. All these algorithms, when we hide a little information, a percentage of the size of the image or the audio, this does not work because it doesn't have the capacity of working. What is the advantage of this? If the attacker knows this weakness without having a lot of knowledge, it can crack the most sophisticated algorithms. I'm saying that detecting malware is very complicated, and we try to invite other parallel procedures to detect. I'm saying that steganography is very difficult to be detected. It depends on images, especially. So in my head enters the fact that if it's difficult, why I'm putting all things together. I want to make it in a very massive way to attack many images, and let's see what happens. So a wise man from my working place told me, okay, you're a crazy guy, but many other people were crazier than me before. It's a mythical thing about detecting this steganography thing on eBay, on Usenet. They process 2 million images with stereoanalysis techniques. What did this guy find? After a lot of working, he didn't find anything because it's such a complicated issue. The most difficult is that it's not about detecting or not detecting. Sometimes when you detect something, you don't know what is going on underneath, if it's a steganography, because there are so many fake positives. With Neil's experience, Neil's purpose proved this to be a craziness. So let's translate this idea to the mobile phone. When you are on a deadline, on a dead end, there are many other ways to detect if there is a stegomalware or not. We are cool guys. So let's look for a stegomalware on Google Play. We are not geniuses. There are certain tendencies and trends who said to us big companies would use techniques of big data to process massive data against frauds and other malicious techniques. This is the dark picture is to honor our leader. The very first question for me, do I want to detect, is it possible for me to detect stegomalware? What should I do first on Google Play, the market where I'm based upon? Does Google Play have capacity of steganography? Because if there's no possibility to hide anything, this is the end of the investigation, period. I don't know if this is done by somebody before, it's not well documented, but on Google Play, if you publish an application, you'll see that this is Bokeround is our user. So you can upload images, GPG, PNG. The PNG now on screen. We have two. These are the shells. Can we hide these two PNG shells images with stegomalware? We can add information at the end of the file. Google Play won't know about it, or we can use the minus bit significantly. If you want to recover information, the URL from Google is their own format, so you have to shape it, and from then on you can recover information and you can do whatever you like. Which means that from a PNG viewpoint, the market of Google Play allows to create a steganographic channel. When you upload with GPG images, if you upload a GPG image, Google rescale the whole thing. If you have information at the end of the file, this is wasted. If you hide with minus significant bits technique, this is also lost. It's difficult. There's other possibilities. how am I sure about this? Because there have been similar examples on Facebook, which rescale images, the extension secret boot. Basically, on Facebook, they use typical algorithms of water brand names to hide steganography. With PNG is possible, with GPG is not possible at the end of the file. And with the other one, with LSB, it may be possible. Let's see what happens. You can things in between. Don't install this application because it's shitty. I focus on the images, but regarding the market, there are texts. We could do things with the text on the market. It was too easy. What else can we do? Can we hide information inside the APKs? WorldPlay does not do anything regarding this. So we can hide the PNGs, JPG, DEX, XML. What else can we do? We can you can make so many things, attacks based upon local resources, APKs. We can insert some malicious code, and that can be then executed. The typical protection measures, launching other application. This code will not be executed if you are not given certain conditions in the practice. In the practice, you cannot detect this kind of things. We can use APKs, local resources connected to a URL, and download a malicious image with code. We can have much more imagination. There's no limit about, for instance, a very stupid case, you can hide an IP or a telephone number and depend on the terminal executing this application and see if the address range of directions belongs to the Ministry of Defense. There are so many things you can be meddling with. There is so much potential in between.
Right, this is just theory. We can easily deduct that. And the question is, we want to do proof of concept to find out whether Google Play allows you to do so? Well, we will take a look at that later on. I'll tell you the answer later on. So a bit of mystery in the meantime. Is it possible to use stenography? Yes, it is. All right, now let us move on to our own experiment. Well, here I want to detect Stegall malware, or at least I want to start developing the technology so that by the time these people, the Ukrainian people, okay, as Roman said yesterday, we start developing this bug, okay? So when we are detecting a Stegall malware, we could focus on a number of things. However, I have decided to focus on images. So actually, in APKs, we have PNGs, XMLs, and JPs. So what am I going to use for this research? Well, I'm going to use a database that we use for a commercial product that does a lot of things. It does Android Intel. But I wanted to tell you about the tool that we have used, the tool as well as a full database that we use for that. What's in that database? Well, actually, this is the strength. So for you to have a feel as to the data that we have processed, the database has 11 terabytes. We have like 2 million APKs. So which is, well, this is very dynamic, it grows, but this is a snapshot. This is for you to have a feel as to the size of it, so that you can more or less see, well, what entails to do ongoing monitoring. And I also would like you to take a look at the number of links to images in Google Play. We are talking about 11 million. This is a huge number. So we use 3 laptops, 2 hard disk, 4 tera and 1 tera. Part of the experiment was carried out in the network, S3, EC2 software, and lots of time and lots of patience. And why did I say the hard disk drive? Well, the thing is that the 4 terabyte one died a few weeks ago. I lost valuable time. Okay, we recovered some of the information, but other information, well, I just lost it and we had to start from scratch. So, well, Having said that, so what I would like to detect in a real world and with a view to a potential, well, considering a potential attacker. Okay, first of all, I'd like to find out whether someone has hidden something. But as we've seen with the first Google investigator, that will give us many false positives. Sometimes this leads us to the dead end. And also, perhaps it is important to find other type of codes. For instance, if we find out that an APK hides information in a file, and then we also detect routines that allow us to do reversing to stenography, and we also detect specific functions. For instance, they go and tell you, okay, I upload this image, then I do a test load it, and then I upload what I have taken out from that image. So therefore, we can pile up, we can stack all those conditions, and we can make the tool more intelligent. So point 2 and 3, we do that in an experimental manner. I will focus on point 2. So what did I do in my experiment? Well, starting from those 2 million APKs. So I gathered many stenography tools. I wanted to find out whether someone was using ease-of-use tools. Some of them generate easy patterns, that is to say, they are easy to reverse. However, others are used in cyber exercises and in network. So typical tools, these are the typical tools that we use for hiding JPGs. And well, because I'm a bit crazy to include false positive, I decided to include a number of statistical algorithms. I don't know what the people is hiding, but I want to launch it and I want to see what comes out of it. And other than that, well, I have also included, in order to detect attacks with the Trojans that I showed you at the beginning, I tried to detect if the file has the right structure. If it is PNG, I want to make sure whether it is PNG and, well, nothing else. So the results after doing the processing of those 2 million APKs, I worked with some 7 million images. So the disk has 710 gigabytes. So scenarios where we have an attacker including information or hiding information in Google Play or Android Marketplace. Sorry, the other one is when you just log on to a URL and then you download something with malicious malware. And the other scenario is about resources within APKs, because there are lots and lots of information. I will just, well, at the end, I will summarize it on a table so that you're very clear about that. So this is the number of processes, this is the number of images per scenario. And now let me tell you that the number of URLs that are connected from APKs, let me tell you that in our experiment we launched the stream. We just recovered chains such as HTTPs and coded variants. So if you are looking for URLs connecting to images from 2 million, they go down to 4,000 APKs. And then if we process all the links, okay, these are the results. So these mutant applications are very interesting because you may connect to a URL and the URL may be a PNG, but that may change, okay? That snapshot is only valid for that specific point in time. In this other scenario, and we will take a closer look at that later on, I will try to process all the content within the APKs. So this is a process which is still ongoing. It's a bit costly, or quite costly, but for you to have a feel, JPG, there are around 3 million in Google Play, and in terms of PNGs, there are around 30 million. That's the order of magnitude. Because resources were a bit limited, we decided, well, to concentrate on what I did. This is the percentage of JPGs where we have scanned 50% of the market, and the same goes for PNGs. Now, results. So let's see what we find if we look at the typical structures of JPG. PNG. So these are the results per scenario. So this experiment was a bit of, I was a bit kind of desperate, okay? I didn't know what were the possible results of it. Well, we found lots of rubbish. We found images that are not PNGs, for instance, PNGs that are GIF, okay? People do not change the extension of the file, lots of rubbish, as I say. Many metadata for tools or tools. For instance, we have an image, we upload it to a website, we do rescaling, and then the website adds its own log at the end of the file. For instance, REMPIC, there are many of the images that have very rubbish with raw pic. Others include information at the end of the Photoshop file. I don't know why some images add HTML pages at the end of the file. So these two links, if you connect them now, if you log on now, if they have not removed them last night, okay, you will find this. This is the website that you will find. I guess that these are errors of the website, but if it well, lots of rubbish of this kind. Then you find interesting such as these things about credentials, logging credentials, logging not found out. Then if you do reversing, you find out that there are security problems. So you can do many things in here. And also more interesting is this case, PNG files, which were not PNG files, but database. This is an application that connects to a URL, which is but it is not a PNG, it's a database. Imagine that I do that, well, I did that with scripts, okay, because it is slow. In the meantime, I do something else. And when I find something like that, which is not PNG, sacred Koran, so then I start to be a bit frightened. And well, I said, okay, let's see what's in it. And then start to say large, violence, big, and I start to get like really afraid of it. And I say, I would like to call Caesar because, well, there is something serious in here. But actually, this is kind of a translator. So it is translating into different languages. But I don't know whether it is, well, legal to do this translation into all these languages. Well, these are real links, okay? You may download it. I don't know whether you can see it. But that database, can you tell me the language of this database? What language is that? Well, you don't know. Any hints? What language do you think is that? Well, Google says it is Turkish. Yes, it is Turkish. What do you think you get in this? Well, it has these. It has URLs that are exchanged. Imagine an application that connects to a PNG, which is a database, but then this is recipe to cook with hashes. Yes, it is really good fun. You may download it, okay? So hashes recipes. Yes, this is good fun, but well, other than that, well, you can see that this application does not comply with the Google Play policy because we are doing apology of drug consumption, and well, Google Play is not aware of that. We refer to that as mutant applications, okay? Well, this is what I got today, but tomorrow I could get something worse, okay? So these are applications that we really want to have under control. And now, because we didn't have lots of time, well, lots of rubbish, as I say, images with traces of weird things with weird traces. I just don't know what you get all this rubbish. Okay, conclusion. Well, it's better to look the other side, okay? So now, PNGs. PNGs, JPGs. Well, this PNGs was more like an act of faith. So I just wanted to check out in real time the experiment that was done by Google Play. So I launched like So these are potential stego images, that is to say, weird, strange images. There are many of them. You cannot really see that by hand. If you plot that, you can get graphs of these kinds, where you can see the percentage of hiding and the size. So here you can see in the beginning they are very much center. When you log on to a URL, they spread, they are more scattered. And then when we connect to URL, you can find that the algorithm detection doesn't work very well and the images are very small. What are the conclusions that we can draw? Well, you cannot approach that or you cannot tackle that with the stenography only. We are doing testing to see whether those links are coded or not. This is a complicated way to do analysis and to work. Well, here we find interesting thing. If you know how detection algorithms work, we see high detection for small size files. So often these are false positive. When the file is very small, algorithms do not often work. So it would be interesting to analyze this by hand and then to avoid the problems that the Google researcher or investigator had. So we'll look at that in the conclusions. Okay, this is ideal to create bugs that you cannot really detect. So, well, here we see relative good sizes, good margin for detection. This could be interesting. Now, when we come to this point, we are at the dead end. So the advantage is that we can associate an application to this tool. I don't know whether this is stenography or not, but I will try to see. Well, we would use it if it were stenography. I just select these depending on the hiding and the size, and then I select a number of them, dozens of them, and then I do my analysis. What do you think I found? Do you think I found anything? Oh, you love me a lot. No, I did not. I did not find anything. I'm sorry for that. So this is what more work has to be done, but I didn't find it. Okay, so I'll leave that for the conclusions. Now, JPGs. Many potential stego images for the three scenarios, URLs and also from APKs. We process each APK and try to detect. In green, you can see applications that I tested or checked by hand, and actually they are not using stenography to hide things. What you see in red are the things we're working on. However, I'd like to mention a couple of things here. Imagine that here there are thousands of potential stego images. The first thing that comes to mind is like, oh, surely there is lots and lots of false positives. However, if we take a look at studies about false positives from the tools that I use, they tell you that depending on the image, you may get like 5% of 5 positives. So here we have to subtract a few. However, many of them have stenography. And if they do not have stenography, it looks like it's very similar. For instance, could be watermarks or codes to protect copyright or techniques applying filters to images to do whatever. So there can be many things. These are potential images that we want to work in a different manner with techniques to see whether there are hints in the code or signs in the codes, etc. We tested this algorithm to see whether these applications have the routines that are used for reversing. For instance, to see if routines of JPJ in C, someone has compiled it and has added it as a library. So other than this, that is ongoing, let us move on to F5. You all know F5? Well, F5 is used in many exercises, in challenges, etc. Because out of the available implementations that are available to people, this is one of the most robust. Well, there are other things that are more sophisticated, but they are either very academic or not very available. Of course, if it was a sample, I could have done that by hand. Imagine that at this point, I have scanned 50%. Did we find anything this time? Yes, we did. Oh, great. So I tell you what it does, and then I tell you who did it. So the sample is alive. That's what I told you at the beginning, do not do an epoch, okay? Because if you have one already, do not do it, okay? It's a question of economy. Okay, this has been done since June, okay? It's alive, okay? The tool detected the following. Detected that in that image, there was something hidden with F5. These stars tell me about the position. So from the data, I knew that I had done it, but okay, I'll tell you more about that. Here I did what anyone should have done. Okay, I got the application and I did reverse engineering. So this is the summary. These are the typical tools that we'll use. But because I knew that the file that was hidden with Stego, I decided to take a look at it. And what does this thing do? Well, it hides a .dex within the JPG image, and then it uses a key for that. So, again, we did reverse engineering of DEX, and then we found a code uploading a URL. And what did this bug do? Well, this is an educational bug. This is a proof of concept, and this is a payload, which is not malware. It's harmless. Well, what are the conclusions that we can draw? Well, it has been there for many months, okay, it is harmless, but this tells us that it is possible to do these kind of things. And it is also interesting to see how you can hide a code in an image that will be executed or run through a number of actions. Therefore, sandboxing technology cannot detect that. The good thing is that this DEX was connected to an URL outside, so local resources techniques would not work, and then techniques that in the first DEX try to find URLs in third parties, it wouldn't work either. So it's a question of adding on steps to see that we can do stegomalware in famous markets that have, well, measures in place, and especially Google Play. And who are the creators? Creators are investigators from Carlos III University. And it was curious because when I launched the tool, I saw their name. I've known them for years because, well, we share some interest, and it was interesting. I say, okay, some Spaniards were hiding things, and then there was another Spanish person finding that out, so detecting that. Okay, I'm finishing. So this is a summary of the results. These are interesting conclusions. There are many data here. By the time this presentation will be published, you will see that in greater detail. By analyzing all the JPEs, so only few of them are detected. That means that nowadays this is a bad option to use JPEGs to hide information in a URL or an APK. It is very easy to scan all the files, and then if the tool is well known, it is relatively easy to do so. So the epoch that we saw before in the real world, if you wanted to do something right, that would not be a good option. However, the good thing, or the interesting thing, are PNGs. There are many of them. Okay, I told you before that there were 30 million. If we applied current techniques, you can get very many false positives or not. That's not the danger. Well, yes, that's some danger, but the complicated thing is this. These files in APKs are very small in size. If you know a bit about stenography, you can find out, you can realize that this is a huge problem, because it's very difficult to detect very small files. So small information nowadays, as I say, it is nearly impossible to detect. And not only that, PNGs on an average, well, APKs on an average have 27 PNGs. So even if you are hiding that in several files, you can hide, well, more information, okay? Information more than a telephone number or an IP. So conclusions. Google Play, is it a stenographic channel now, yes, you can do whatever you want, either from the inside or from the outside. What can Google do to avoid that, to prevent that? Well, in the case of the market, websites should re-escalate, and then what to do, whatever it takes to delete information. And what can it do with APKs? Well, if files are signed, there is nothing it can do. And, well, perhaps it is doing it and we just don't know. Well, the only thing it can do is monitoring. That is to say, to check if a PNG is a PNG or not. Well, what I told you before, is stegomalware a real threat? Yes, it is real. You can do stegomalware and Google will not detect it. If I were a bad person, how could do my stegomalware more undetectable? Well, URLs, well, it depends on your likes, okay? Some applications, when they are connected outside, some people start to suspect them, but if not, APKs and PNGs are a good option. By doing that, you can create code that will help you hide information for a malicious end. What about stegomalware and Google Play? Well, we have not analyzed it fully, but the trend seems that it is not. And if it is like that, well, it is so sophisticated that hasn't been detected. Are we ready for that in the industry? Well, we are more ready than 5 months ago, but actually the tools that were implemented are not sophisticated enough. So detection technology to detect of stenography has to be more and more completed or worked on. And so I'd like you to bear in mind that we need a system or a tool to do ongoing monitoring, and especially considering the changing environment, and also by gathering signs and drawing and gathering intelligence. Well, this is all from me. Thank you.
Preguntas no, ¿verdad?
Questions, okay? Oh yes, there are questions.
Va con regalo. ¿Preguntas?
Questions?
Sí.
Hola, vale aquí.
Hello.
Hola.
Hola, ¿qué hay, Alfonso? Gracias por la charla.
Thank you for your talk.
Una cosa que me ha llamado la curiosidad es que al principio decías que...
I'm curious about what you said in the beginning. You said that in Google Play Images you couldn't do stenography.
Facebook realiza un redimensionado.
Well, because Facebook does resizing. So I would like to go further.
En Facebook,
And in Facebook, Facebook wants you to give it a resolution. If you don't give that a resolution, it resizes it for you. So if you upload an image of 960 pixels on the largest side, it doesn't do any resizing. Therefore, hashes will not coincide. However, the payload of the JPG will remain the same. Okay? Google Play is better fun than that. You can try it. When you upload an image, the minimum is 320 per side. When you upload the JPG, you download it, and then one of the sides is below 320. You cannot push the same scale. You cannot imitate. You cannot mimic the behavior of it. So it kind of crashes it, okay, or squeezes it. So I didn't mention before, I forgot to mention that these results, I don't know whether you noticed in the first scenario of the URLs for JP. So I told you that in the market you cannot hide JP with these tools. However, you get results with those tools, which is very strange, isn't it? So there are things that logic will tell you that it shouldn't be like that, okay? Logic tells you that it shouldn't be like that, but that's the way it is. So I was also doing, because I didn't want to go into watermarks, I was just worked with the extensions that I used in Facebook, and that's used in Facebook, and it didn't work.
felicitarte por la charla y sobre todo por el
Congratulations for
futuro
your
que
talk
tenemos.
and, well, for all
Quería
your
saber
hard
si
work.
habéis analizado APKs
So,
de
have
pago.
you used
O sea, APKs de pago.
APKs?
O sea, en el market, todo lo que es de
So
pago,
in market, everything
¿eso lo
that you pay for,
analizáis o
do you
directamente
analyze
no hay
that or
fondos para ello?
not right away because there is no money for that? Oh, well, yes, we analyze many things.
Sí, y otras cosas. Sí.
Yes, we analyze that and as well as many other things,
Lo siento.
okay? Sorry for that.
Pero sí, los datos están ahí. El problema es que es
Yes,
muchísima
data are there. However, the problem is like the huge amount of information. Well, even if algorithms work, at the end of the day, you need lots of people working on that. We need more searchers. We need more people working for us.
Yo tengo una pregunta.
I have a question.
¿Estima en esfuerzo el montar una VPN
Effort.
a través del tráfico de una aplicación
Having a VPN
que
through
mediante el
application
uso de
traffic
canales subliminales a través de imágenes pudiera
that
ir
uses
moviendo?
subliminal images through.
O sea, piensa en esfuerzo. ¿Cuánto
So
te
think
podría
about
costar
effort.
desarrollar
How
ese-
much
ese-
would it
sin
be for
necesidad
you
que
to
sea
develop
muy,
that,
muy, muy
a
complicado
VPN?
detectarlo?
Even if it is not very complicated to detect. Well, the problem with the three scenarios that I showed you is that the first one, when we publish that in Marketplace, when you publish an application, it takes 4 hours. I cannot do real-time channel, so we remove that. Then the APKs, we cannot do that either. So the only one that is left is the URL, and there you can do whatever you want. How long? How long? How much effort? How much would it be for you to develop that application? Yes, an application that I install it and then I connect it to my corporate Wi-Fi and then you do the filtering. Well, it takes you as much as it takes you to develop an Android application.
Vamos, una hora. No sé lo que...
And I don't know, an hour?
Ayer en la empresa hay gente que lo hace en 10 minutos.
Well, some people in my company do that in 10 minutes.
Bueno,
Well,
lo
we are
siento.
here to raise awareness and to
Bueno, Alfonso,
keep
muchas
people,
gracias.
well, to give
Yo
them
una
peace of
pregunta
mind.
rápida.
Okay, thank you very much,
¿Habéis,
Antonio. Very quick question.
investigado en Google
Have
Play por
you
alguna razón específica?
researched Google Play for any specific
Vamos, porque veis, por
reason
ejemplo, que
or why
si
Google
habéis
Play?
analizado Google Play por
Any
ese
reason
pack
for
preparado,
analyzing
o era-
Google
vamos, me refiero
Play
si hay
because
alguna
Pack
razón.
5 is
El motivo
already
fundamental,
ready or?
culpa mía porque quería
Well,
un
the main reason is that I just wanted a real scenario.
analizar mercados, market alternativos.
Well, of course, I could have analyzed like alternative market, but what I would find would be rubbish, okay? I know that in
Sí,
Google
me
Play I
refería
wouldn't
más
get that
a,
much rubbish.
¿por qué no la App
No,
Store?
no, but my question, but why
¿Por qué
not
no la App Store?
Pepe, sure?
Por dinero, básicamente.
Well, out of money, okay, because of
Porque
money,
en
okay,
estas aplicaciones
basically.
tú te puedes descargar a las
Well,
aplicaciones gratuitas.
Here you can download applications for free, okay? This time you can download applications for free.
Bueno, y también
The
por
reason is,
penetración.
well, money.
Android, yo creo que tenemos de aquí casi todos. En algo, si no es en un marco digital, en
Well,
algo.
we all use Android.
Pero al tenor de
Here.
la pregunta que te está haciendo y para
But the
quitarle
question
tópicos
he's
a la
asking
gente de
you,
la cabeza,
and then just to
se
remove
pueden ocultar aplicaciones
topics,
e imágenes que
you
tengan
can hide
información
applications
subliminal en
and
App
images
Store,
that
de la
have
misma manera.
subliminal information in App Store. Oh yes, you can do that as well. So I cannot do a large-scale experiment, but yes, it's a question of, well, developing that and trying it. You want to do it? You want to test
Muchas
it?
gracias.
We can do it.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Alfonso, for your talk.